Here is another lesson on a very interesting topic, another important theme, collocation and style of communication. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hridhaan and I welcome you all with a very big heart on Let's Talk. The theme of today's lesson is time. Exactly. So the collocations and style of communication that we're going to be talking about is time. I'm going to be giving you with some fantastic phrases that have the concepts of time in them, which you can use whenever the need arises of a situation like that. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. The first phrase in the list is preserved for posterity. What is preserved for posterity? Things like, let's say, fossil fuels, things like inheritance, things alike are actually preserved for posterity, which primarily means it is a very formal phrase kept for future people in the future, kept saved for the people in future. Let's understand this using an example. The fossil fuel needs to be preserved for posterity. One more time, the fossil fuel needs to be preserved for posterity. This is a formal phrase that we can use to talk about saving things for the future in relation to the concept of time. Next one in the list is go down in history. It means be remembered in the future from the past. So something from the past that will be remembered in the future. For example, there are a lot of artists in every country whose work are remembered in the future from the past. So their work, their creativity go down in history. One example is, if you go down in history, you'd see how differently he designed the official policies. How differently somebody designed the official policy, such as the constitution of your country. If you go down and see who did that, it goes down in history and is remembered even today in future if it is good. Next one in the list is dim and distant memory. What is dim and distant memory? A very interesting phrase about the concept of time. Remembered slightly, but not very well. Dim and distant memory is about a memory that you can't remember very well, but it's not clear, basically. For example, hi, I think we've met before, like 5 years ago, in my dim and distant memory. Can we chat for a bit? Imagine you met somebody at a party or at a cafe, and you actually ran into someone that you met from your school time or college time, and you can say, I think you're the same person in my dim and distant memory. That's how you can use this phrase. The next one is a flash in the pan. What is a flash in the pan? It is someone or something that gains popularity just for a short period. What is that? There are a lot of incidents and a lot of videos these days that get viral and that are a flash in the pan in media. For example, the new Miss World was a flash in the pan in media last week. The new Miss World, a title which is a beauty pageant, was given to a woman who was a flash in the pan in the media last week. That is how you can use this phrase. So something that was popular for a short period of time in media or entertainment world or anywhere in a short period. Next one is at the 11th hour. Please remember how we pronounce the here. It is the, not the. It is at the 11th hour, which means at the last moment. So something that you do at the last moment, at the very last minute of something is actually called at the 11th hour. For example, Jack arrived for the interview at the 11th hour. For the interview at the 11th hour. He was pretty late and he had to make it to the interview. He just made it in time. So how do we say it? Jack arrived at the interview at the 11th hour. The next phrase is at the drop of a hat. This is one of my most interesting phrases, actually. This is what I use in my daily life as well. And I love it because it has a rhythm to it. And I urge you to use this one as well because it'll help you speak much fluently. It means to do something instantly without any prior preparation. So something instantly, on spur of the moment, something that you do without any prior thought to it, without any prior preparation to it. For example, he always takes his decisions at the drop of a hat. One more time. He takes all of his decisions at the drop of a hat. Now, it is for you to decide, does that decision turn out to be good or bad? Or is it a good idea to always decide on to do something at the drop of a hat? This was about this phrase. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is around the clock. It means when something happens all over the day. For example, I am keeping the track of my best friend's arrival around the clock. The best friend is coming, let's say, from New York, and the friend in the home country is waiting for that person's arrival very impatiently. So that's when you can say something that you've been waiting for. When something happens all over the day, I am keeping the track of my best friend's arrival around the clock. That means throughout the day. Not so distant future. What is not so distant future? Something that is coming in the future, immediately or a little time later. Well, it means not the immediate future, but relatively near. So it is not immediate future, not immediate, like let's say next moment, but it means something that is after the immediate future. For example, I fixed the meeting for not so distant future, but tomorrow. But not tomorrow. This is how we say it correctly. I fixed the meeting for not so distant future. That means I did not fix the meeting tomorrow, but not so distant future. I did not fix it for tomorrow, but a time after that. This is where we use not so distant future. The next one is before the ink is dry. What is before the ink is dry? Without any further delay. Doing something without any further delay is when we use before the ink is dry. For example, let's fix the date of his marriage. Let's fix the date of his marriage before the ink is dry. That means people want to do that particular act and take the decision and act on it without any further delay. Maybe the marriage of this guy has been delayed for a very, very long time, and the people now are deciding, let's lock the dates of the wedding before the ink is dry. The next one is have a whale of a time. People say whenever they talk about something that happened in a good way to them, they say, "Oh, I had an amazing time." Amazing can as well be used in this manner. Have a whale of a time. That means you've had a super duper amazing time doing that particular thing. For example, I've had the whale of a time with you on my last trip. Whale of a time. That means I've had the most wonderful time, a great, great time with you on my last trip to wherever that person went on. Next one is foreseeable future. What is foreseeable future? It means as far in the future as you can imagine. So something that will last in the future for a very, 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 very long time that you can think of. For example, in the foreseeable future, I plan to go abroad to study. That means it is bound to happen. As far as the future you can imagine, that particular act is bound to happen. Next one and the last one is donkey's years. What is donkey's years? A long period of time. Again, a very interesting phrase that we can use as we talk about the concept of time. Where were you? A friend is asking someone. Where were you? The person says in the continuation, I haven't heard from you for all these donkey's years. There are two people who are meeting after a long time, and the person is saying, where were you? I haven't seen you for a very, very long time. I haven't seen you in all these donkey's years. That's when you can use donkey's years. This was all about the phrases related to time. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and in case you did, please do let me know in the comments section below what all 3 phrases related to time that you liked, and we shall take care of that. Thank you very much and have a great day ahead.